So how do you handle the time between now and nationals in terms of practice and preparation and keeping everybody fresh and that sort of balancing act?
Part of what we do with our athletes is we put them in a spot, started about 2 weeks ago, where we kind of have them at a peak level and we're just maintaining that. So we do a lot of the same workouts, but we try to have more rest and more recovery in between them. So they're actually sitting around a little bit bored because they don't have college to go to and we're not working real hard, but we still have some pretty intense sessions that they go through and still have big jump days and then an extra rest day, and then keep working on our acceleration a little bit stuff. So it's really just keeping their body firing at that high level is our goal as we go through this cycle. And for some of them, then they'll hopefully keep going on for the next 2 weeks also to the trials. Or the Italian Italian championship team too.
What are your goals and expectations and hopes for this upcoming week in terms of just overall performance from your 5 athletes?
I think there's 2 ways of looking at it. And I think I try to sit on the fence. I try to sit on the fence of we want our kids to go there and have a great experience, compete hard. And then there's the coach in me that likes to figure out, can we go there with enough people to score enough points to be in the top 25 and tell everybody we're a top 25 team. So it's finding a balance between those 2 things. I think for the athletes, it's just really going in focused on what they can do. Obviously we can't control what everybody else does anyway. So I think that's the thing, is just getting them prepared for it. Fortunately, all these athletes have been to enough big meets that's not really a concern of going to a first big meet. But I feel like we've got our kids pretty well ready to go in and just compete hard, have fun, and then see what happens.
How does that experience factor in with this, having missed out on this opportunity last year with COVID and everything? Maybe there's the potential for athletes trying to make up or try to do too much to make up for that missed opportunity. Does that experience sort of help them handle any pressure or expectations that may come with that sort of thing with what's happened here?
Well, I think the pressure that these kids feel is probably 10 times more an internal pressure that drives them than anything that we as coaches or USD fans or administrators could ever put on them. That's what makes them such elite athletes, is they have an internal drive that is just amazing. And it's really interesting when you see that. There are some people that can set a goal and will work extremely hard to reach that goal. And there's some people that say they shouldn't have ever reached that goal, but they believed in it. Their coaches believed in it, and they were able to do that. So I think we'll see the same thing when they go to Eugene, that idea that they all want to PR. I don't think they're worried about we're going to be a national champ or not, because like we said, we can't control that, but we can control how high can we jump that day. And when our kids go in with that kind of mentality that they're in control of that, and their coach is there to help them, that's usually when we see some great things happen.
Just more specifically for Marshall having the 3 PRs at Texas A&M to get to this point, just talk about the last couple of weeks for him and then going forward, what you hope to see next week.
Well, finally would be what Coach Miles would say. Coach Miles has been predicting his PRs coming for quite a while, but it doesn't always work to PR. Sometimes the height that the bar isn't quite right. Sometimes the track meet gets dark and we got to put the car on the thing and have to shut it down. I mean, it doesn't always happen. So when you get to the big meet, that's really where everything is designed to do. So if you look at our training, it's really designed, how do we get to the big meet? And then when we get to the big meet, how do we perform well? And then when we get to that meet, how do we perform well again? So that's really driven. So I'm sure Coach Miles would tell you that was all part of his master plan, but he's had a lot of faith in Marshall and knowing that Marshall was going to pop some big jumps here. It was just a matter of time and getting everything to work out right.
Coach, for these big meets, it's obviously different than your traditional team sport where, maybe you start off rough in the first quarter, you still have 3 more quarters to go. Bad day can kind of sink these guys despite a good season. How do they kind of mentally, handle that pressure of, here they are, they're at the national meet. And like I said, it's kind of all on the line. You can't necessarily afford to wait, a jump or 2 or whatever to kind of to kind of get going. You have to kind of put it all out on the line right away.
Well, I think part of it is that I think the meet schedule that we put these kids through helps prepare them for that. They were all at the Drake relays. They were all at the Texas relays. I mean, when you go to those type of meets where that happens, and if you're the pole vault group, you never know which pole vaulter is going to win anyway. So you have that internal pressure of beating each other. So there's always that competition. And like I said, they're so self-driven that they might even win, but if they didn't PR, which meant they'd jump better, then they still feel bad. So it's just that self-driven that they have. So I really feel like that's what they go there. They know they can't have a miss. I mean, really, we're leaving one high jumper home this weekend because she had a miss at the first round. She made one bar on her second attempt, and that's keeping her from going here. So they all understand how important it is to come out, make it on a first bar, put themselves in the meet, and then stay competitive as they move through the meet and as the bars go up.
And you kind of alluded to the fact that some of them, like Zach, are going to have Olympic trials and whatnot to move on to. How does that kind of balance out? Because obviously, normally this would be the meet to kind of let everything hang out and go all out. But when you've got potentially qualifying here for the Olympics in a few weeks, does that change the habits, the mindset at all?
I think that's the good thing about our sport. We can go out and put it all out every time. And I think Zach could go back to a meet in April that we had in Vermilion, and he would still tell you that he put it all out the day he went 7-5. And so that's the way we were performed, and that's the way we're trained to do, is when you get that chance to go to a big bar, you're going at it. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, so you just go after it as hard as you can, every practice, every meet. So I don't think anybody's thinking that far down the road. They're thinking that bar right now, what do I have to do to make it? And that's going to do a lot more to set up their future anyway. Making a bigger bar here helps those seniors to have a chance to sign a pro contract and get an agent, those things. So we're always just going to be the best that we can be at every meet and not worrying about what the next one is, and not even worried about the competition. I mean, a lot of our big jumps have happened right here in Vermilion, not because it was super competitive, but because there was teammates around and family around to help lift the energy up.
You mentioned the team scoring element too. Is that something that you feel like is possible with what you have with what you're taking down there?
It's one of those things you look at the end of the meet and you kind of say, who did we beat? Who beat us? And it's not the end of the world. Obviously, top 4 is what everybody, because that's where the trophies go. And we got to have a lot more bodies to do that. But I think it's one of those things that we look at as coaches. The coaches poll had our men's team ranked in the top 25 most of the season. So you kind of hope, well, can we put a few things together and could we do something where we could be a top 25 team, which, for us, we feel like if we can finish in the top 25, top 30, that's okay. We're doing okay for that meet, and we'll say that good job and move on.
Zach, how are emotions? What's it like here as you're getting ready to head out to Eugene for nationals?
Been super exciting. Just waiting for the chance to hop on the plane and get out to the new stadium and check it out, get a practice or two in, and get things rolling.
On meet day, what's it like out there? Like, what's the environment like, the atmosphere for a big national track meet?
Yeah, the last time I was in Eugene was the first one because I did all the construction, so I was back in Texas. But yeah, being there, it was my first national, so I was pretty nervous the whole time anyway. But the huge crowd, and I mean, Eugene just as a town is centered around track, and the fans are insane out there. They can fill a stadium with ease. So I'm super excited for that, especially in the new stadium and how it's built. And high jump's going to be right on the edge where the finish line is. So it should be pretty fun out there.
In terms of the pressure and everything that goes into competing at a meet at this level, how has this season and other events that you've competed in and other things you've accomplished over your career, how does that help you as you prepare to handle things on the mental side?
I'd say through this last year, it's just a closing down year. And I know there's only so many opportunities available left. And right now there's only one for USD track. So just going out there with the mindset that I might as well give it my all and try and have fun with it, because like Lucky was saying, you're never going to know who's going to win. There's great people out there, but it comes down to that day. So we all start off at the same height, and from there, just figuring out who the winner is.
Do you have a specific mark in mind that you're looking to clear, or is it just sort of do your best and hope that it's good enough to place?
Yeah, not really a mark. I just want to go as high as I can, try and get a school record.
Zach, I know you played a lot of other sports, especially when you were at Parker. I mean, you know that you're playing basketball. Maybe you don't get off to a good start in the first quarter. You've still got 3 more to go. How much different kind of a pressure is this though in track when it's, I mean, you've got to be ready to go right away. You only get 3 jumps. And, you know, if you're not having you can't really afford to have a bad start to your day or your day's done.
Yeah, for sure. The big change from going from playing basketball and football all the time to just track is that like failure can really kill you. It can be tough because, I mean, like you're saying, if you have a bad 3 jumps, you're done. And then you typically don't have a meet for 1 or even 2 weeks. So if you have 3 bad weeks in a row, that's an entire month of not good. So the mental side of high jump is definitely tougher than the other sports. And the fact that it's all on your shoulders, football, basketball. I've had terrible football games, terrible basketball games, and my team still wins. But in track and field, it's just you out there and you're the one who has to do all the work. So it gets nerve-wracking sometimes, but you just kind of got to wrap that down and figure it out while you're in the moment.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is pretty much the last, I mean, other than, I don't know what you'll be wearing during the Olympic trials, but this will be your last time really wearing a USD uniform, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
No, I'm going to make sure I have South Dakota on my chest at the trials.
Okay, well, I mean, but from a collegiate standpoint anyway, this is, I mean, is that putting any extra weight on you I mean, this is kind of it for your college career? I know it's been a long time coming, but maybe a little later than you anticipated because of all of last year's craziness. But is that starting to sink in at all?
Yeah, for sure. But for me, I think it's just making it more exciting. I know that it's my last shot out here and to do something with the school. So just makes it a little bit more exciting.
For you, I mean, just to go out with the Olympic trials coming up afterward, is there any extra kind of training regimen? Is there anything different than there would be on a normal year if you were doing the nationals, or do you have to, I mean, I don't want to say hold anything back, but do you have to approach it differently at all, knowing what's coming down the pike?
No, not really. My main focus is definitely nationals. The Olympic trials is going to be fun, but it's in 2 weeks and that's not set in stone yet. So I might as well just go into this meet and give it my all. And like Lucky was saying earlier, that's what I try to do every meet. I don't know if I could ever 80% jumping because I just love it too much to be giving it that. So no, it's guns a-blazing this week and we'll start thinking about the Olympic trials after this week.
Zach, if you could just talk about the progress that your group, specifically the jumpers, have made since you first joined the program as a freshman and how you've seen it grow over the past few years.
Yeah, for sure. It's huge. We've had really big PRs. I mean, if you can send 4 people out of 48 on the entire west side of a region, it's pretty big. And unfortunately, some of those guys couldn't get things rolling at the meet, but they all had shots to make it, jumping at 6'11". And typically the last 3 years I'd made it 6'11's been the height that gets to go to nationals. But this year 7'2" was basically taking that one, and that's come to known on an Olympic year. Everyone's going to jump just a little bit higher than normal. So that's fun, but hopefully the guys can rally together next year and get things rolling. We got some good jumpers coming in, and hopefully the success just continues to pile up.
As you were watching Nilsson compete in pole vault, was this sort of what you envisioned for your group, a group that's consistently in the national conversation, competing for spots at nationals, that sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, USD is known for pole vault, and there's 4 other people going to nationals on the team, and they're all pole vaulters, so that speaks big. So yeah, it's just I wanted to bring that success into the jump side or the high jump side, and we kind of got there, but not quite to the level that I know that we could have achieved, but it's a step further.
Any additional questions for Zach?
I did have one quick one. I know Lucky had mentioned the team scoring thing. It's kind of a weird balance, I know, when you're doing an individual sport like this, but does that team element of trying to get in the top 25, top 30, does that mean something for you guys? Would that be what would that mean to you if the team could place up in that area?
I think it's just more so getting recognition for USD and our track program and how great we are. And yeah, 100%. I want to go there and get first place. I want our two girl vaulters to go 1-2 and our guys to do the exact same.
Yeah, how's preps going for nationals?
It's going very good. Yes, yesterday I think yes, I had a very good practice and just ready to go there and jump as I can. Like Zach said, we don't really have a mark in our minds. Just go there and do the best as we can.
Is this a little bit better pole vaulting weather, like the heat a little bit, like getting a little warmer out, or do you prefer more mild temps?
Well, I usually get upset about the cold, but this is very hot. But I'll take it. Oregon, I think it's gonna be very nice, not too cold, not too hot, and I've been there already a few times, and it's always been good for me. So I'm very excited to go there and have a nice weather to compete with.
Have you competed? Oh, Bailey disappeared. Have you competed in this stadium before? Have you seen the new facility and all that before? Will this be your first time?
This is my first time in the new facility, but I've been 3 times in the old one.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to check out the new setup. It's really awesome.
So where are you guys going to be set up for pole vault?
Oh, I think in the east runway. I think the runways were like where they were before.
Okay. So what's the atmosphere like at this event? What's it like, competing at a meet of this caliber?
Well, I think I always say Eugene is a very special place to me because my first time there was when I was a junior in high school, still living in Italy. I was there for the World Junior Championships in 2014, and that was my first time in the US, and that's when I decided to come to college in the US. And then I came back for NCAA National Championships my freshman and my sophomore year. And I feel like now we're coming a full circle, and I'm finishing my NCAA career there. So I think it's very special, and I'm excited to finish my USD experience there.
What's your itinerary going to look like after the NCAAs in terms of just getting ready in terms of your qualifying?
So basically I'm going to stay 1 more week in South Dakota to train with Derek, my coach. And then I'm going to leave to Italy with my poles. And after a week, so I think the last weekend of June, I have national championships. And then I will compete the whole month of July in Europe. I already have some meets set up with my Italian coach as well. So it's going to be fun to just travel a little bit and just hit those European meets.
Is that kind of difficult not to have Derek? I mean, you only have him for 1 more week. I don't know if he'll come out to Italy or not, but is that kind of difficult to say goodbye to a coach who's obviously knows the Olympic grind pretty well?
Well, I feel like by now I'm very dialed in, so I know what to do. And my Italian coach knows my jump very well. So even if Derek will not be there for Italian championships or for my European season, I think I will be fine. And we always communicate anyway. Like I send videos to him and he just gives me feedbacks. Unfortunately, he cannot come because he will be at the Olympic trials with Emily, Chris, and hopefully my teammates, Jen, Marshall, and Ethan. But it's not a goodbye. I don't know if everyone knows yet, but I'm going to stay in South Dakota next year and keep vaulting, not as a coyote anymore, but with Derek Miles.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I know this has been asked of other people who are going to be participating and trying to qualify for the Olympics, but how do you approach this weekend when you know there are obviously some, I don't want to say bigger things in store, but there's another big meet, another really big event coming down the road, I guess. How does that change how you would normally prepare for this, or do you just kind of try to keep the same mentality?
For the Olympics, for me, I have to jump a little higher. So I just go with the mentality that I have nothing to lose. Once, like at regionals, for example, I felt like I had something to lose because I was the 3rd in the region and I wanted to qualify. But now at nationals, there's nothing better than that. So you just go out there and just jump as high as you can with the mentality that you don't have anything to lose.
This being your first one outdoor anyway, how does this feel, and how are you feeling going down there for this?
I'm really excited. I've ever since high school, you'd hear about Eugene just being the place for track. I mean, it's nicknamed Tracktown USA, and I've always wanted to get out to Eugene to compete. I never got to the opportunity to be out at the old Hayward Field, but I've seen like videos and pictures of the new facilities, and I'm couldn't be more excited to compete in that awesome looking track.
I know, obviously, you just mentioned the two-time indoor All-American status. What's maybe kind of the big differences going from an indoor and outdoor season that can, if there are big differences, that can lead to different levels of success?
I mean, one of the main differences is the weather. It could be 75 and sunny with a nice little tailwind that just makes it a lot easier to jump with, and you just feel a lot more confident. Or it could be 95 degrees, 100% humidity, and you get a crosswind that just kind of throws you off your game. And that's just, you have to be prepared for the weather. And that's really the thing. So it can help you, it can hurt you. It just depends on what your mentality is going into that and how you can handle that.
What has it been like going to some of these bigger national meets where obviously the programs become a little more well known, certainly with what Chris did, and obviously there was a national champion even before Chris for the women's program. But what's it been like going to these national meets where maybe they see South Dakota and there's a little more expectation on all you vaulters because of what the program's done over the last 8 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to walk in and have people know South Dakota. Like when I came here, it was obviously Bethany Buell had won the national championships a few years before my freshman year, but that was just when South Dakota was starting to make a name for itself in the pole vault. And now it's cool walking into a meet and people knowing people first off and getting to, make some friends throughout, the past few years. And just being able to wear South Dakota across your chest, it means a lot, especially in the pole vault.
Personally, do you just kind of look to hit a PR? Is that the way you kind of go in, just looking to get as high as you can, hopefully hit some PRs? I know a lot of you guys did during the Summit League Championships and the regionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Just every time out, the goal, every attempt is just give it your all, no matter what the height is, just to make sure that you're giving yourself the best shot to jump at those higher bars and, hopefully get a PR and see if you can't get become an All-American again.
And is it going to feel any different for you guys not having Chris at one of these national meets for the first time in what seems like quite a while now, at the national meet? Is it going to feel any different for you guys not having him as kind of that leader there, or is it just, everything's a go no matter what?
Yeah, it's going to feel a little bit different. He's always got just an awesome energy when it comes to pole vault because that's just his life. But I think it's really just we're firing on all cylinders, just trying to do everything we can to make some noise down or up there. So it'll be good.
Hey, obviously, just the first question being your first national meet. Eugene's obviously track. They don't call it track. They call it Track Town for a reason. What are you kind of looking forward to the most about going down here this weekend and getting your first NCAA experience?
I'm kind of just grateful to be, getting the opportunity to go to Eugene and, pole vault with, the best in the NCAA. But I think I'm most excited to just have another chance to, maybe PR again and spend some time with teammates and have some fun.
I think she said, 3 PRs at that preliminary meets? I mean, is that were you just having a really good day, or is that just kind of how you feel you can perform when everything's just clicking for you?
I don't know that it was a good day, but I think it was mainly just the last couple of weeks leading up to that has been just me kind of trusting Derek and trusting the process, and it just kind of finally everything all came together and paid off a little bit.
I know I've kind of asked this to Zach, and I think I've asked it to Chris Nilsson before, but certainly you have those days where you can PR, but this isn't a sport like basketball or football where, okay, if you have a bad start, you've got 3 quarters to go. I mean, you've got to hit one of those 3 jumps, and if you're not having a good day, your day could be over pretty quick. How as an athlete do you kind of handle that pressure of knowing you have to, essentially you don't really have much room for error. You have to hit your marks pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I think that, how I try to handle it anyways is just, stay focused on the moment and, focus on the small things in the jump that I know I have to do right to have a successful jump. And, most of the time that kind of blocks out the overwhelmingness of only having 3 jumps. So.
Obviously we know what Chris did the last few years, and certainly before that, Bethany Buell with the women's program. There's a little bit more of an expectation now when people kind of see USD than there certainly was a decade ago, obviously. Do you kind of like that pressure of maybe people kind of seeing that USD logo and expecting a little more out of the guys who are wearing it?
I do think it's good. I don't necessarily feel a pressure from it, but I certainly think it's good to go and, represent USD well. And it's good to have a reputation to live up to, because that means we have a pretty good program. So.
Is it kind of unusual? I know it was asked the previous vaulter, but kind of unusual to be going down here and not have that presence of Nilsson. I mean, he was kind of it was a tough one to escape the last couple of years when he would go down to each meet, and obviously was favored to win a national title, or certainly was one of the more high profile athletes down there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this being my only second year here at USD, I only got to vault with Chris for 1 year, but I certainly miss his presence at meets because he was just, so positive and energetic, and, just fun to be around. So.
Does it help to have a teammate there with you that, you can compete with, practice with every day? Is that going to, help your focus, your motivation, your drive at the meet?
Yeah, I think it certainly helps in practice having somebody, to jump with. And I think it definitely will help in a meet or a meet of this caliber to have somebody, a familiar face there that I'm used to seeing when I'm jumping every day, and who can just kind of help me through the pressure situation. So I'm really looking forward to having Ethan down there with me.
Town for a reason in Eugene. This is obviously and I think when they host the U.S. championships, these are the prime events for them up there. What are you looking forward to most about going up there and kind of getting to experience this and compete?
I'm really excited to see the track and just see what Oregon's all about. I've heard a lot about it, but I've never been there, never seen it. So I'm excited to experience what it's like to be at a big meet like that.
Being a redshirt freshman, you don't want to take it for granted that you're going to be there every year, but you are kind of young. This is your first opportunity. Does it take a little pressure off? I mean, that you can maybe just kind of let loose, whereas you've got some of these seniors and other people who are like, this is my last chance at it.
I think it does take a little bit of pressure off, but I like to go into every meet thinking that there's no pressure and I can just perform as well as I know that I can perform. And it doesn't matter how high I jump as long as I know that the jumps that I took were the best ones that I could.
Along that line, kind of what are your goals? Is to hit is there a PR you have in mind? Is there something beyond your PR that you're thinking is possible this week or next week?
I think I just want to focus more on the technical aspects of my jump and what we've been working on at practice. And if I can execute that well, then I don't really want to worry about the height that I jump. It's always nice to PR, but I think that cleaning up my jump and making everything technically proficient is more important than that.
Certainly vaulters have kind of made a name for themselves nationally at USD with Nilsson on the men's side, Bethany Buell on the women's. You've certainly had a lot of All-Americans and some other high finishers. Has it gotten to the point where does the program, the vaulters within it kind of feel some of the expectation? I mean, I know this will be your first trip out there, but when people see that South Dakota logo, they've come to expect that this is going to be one of the top, that whoever's vaulting has a chance to finish pretty high.
I don't know if I necessarily feel that pressure. The atmosphere that Lucky and Derek create as a program is very relaxed, and they make us feel like such a family that I don't ever really feel pressure to jump high and win big meets and stuff like that. I just know that they want me to do my best, and they know that my best could possibly get me into the top 8 and earn All-American honors, but I think that they take that pressure off quite a bit and just want me to perform well.
Yeah, with Derek, I mean, especially with these Olympic trials coming up, obviously he's kind of got it. He's going to be very busy coaching for the next few weeks, even after the track season. Is it just kind of, does it almost feel like there's no end to the season when you have so much that's coming up after? Is that kind of an exhausting thing, or do you look forward to that knowing there's potentially more after the season?
I mean, we do have a long season, but I look forward to it. I think that having a long season gives you more opportunities, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't get too tired from it. I think that you can just keep on having fun for longer.
Well, I'm guessing the fact that nobody got to have any of this kind of fun a year ago kind of plays a role in this. Have you kind of contrasted where you were a year ago to where you are now, and kind of think just how fortunate something that maybe you would have taken for granted a year ago is back and you're able to do this?
Yeah, every day, every meet that we go to, I'm grateful to be there. A year ago, it was just me sitting training alone, and that's really, really hard. So I'm grateful to have teammates around me, and I'm grateful to be going to this national meet. A year ago, I would have never thought that was possible. So I'm really, really thankful to be here.